Welcome to the Dusty Jobs podcast from Imperial Systems. Industry knowledge to make your job easier and safer.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Dusty Jobs podcast. Today we have a very special edition with Charlie Miller. Charlie has been a longtime employee of Imperial Systems and used to write for our newsletter, the Dusty Jobs newsletter, with an article called Good Luck With That. Charlie's article reflects on his time in the industry with fun stories. Now we're going to move that into the podcast realm. Charlie is now going to be doing Campfire Chats. So we hope you enjoy these stories from Charlie Miller. Thanks for joining us.
So, hello, viewers. As Donovan said, I've been around for a while, and everybody seems to think that I have all these pearls of wisdom to relay to everybody on my past experiences. Well, that's neither here nor there, but I do like to tell stories, that's for sure. And I think today we're going to talk a little bit about, it's not really industry related, but it is something everybody deals with any place you work. We're going to talk about, your practical joker in the office. Now, every office has at least one practical joker. You know who it is. You know the guy that's always doing something that, he probably shouldn't be doing, or the gal that's pulling a prank on somebody. Well, when I came here to Imperial Systems, 11 and a half years now, I shared an office originally with two other fellows, Joe and Chalmer. And Joe was a practical joker. And I became aware of his practical jokes over my years working with him. I remember one time that I came in, hadn't had my coffee yet, and I was trying to type out a quotation. And I was busy typing away at my laptop, and I'd write 3 or 4 sentences, and I'd stop and I'd glance up and read what I wrote to make sure that what I said made sense. And to my surprise, I had a lot of typos in there. And I said, I don't know how that happened. So I deleted it all, and I went in and I typed those sentences again. I looked up, and it's full of typos. And I sat there and I said, what the heck is going on? So I sat there and I started typing again, and I watched the screen this time, and I saw that thought I was typing words that weren't coming up. Well, here Joe had changed all my vowels on my computer keyboard with the consonant next to it. So if I was typing an A, it was coming up with Q. If I was typing an E, it was coming up with W. And it just, after 3 times, the guy starting laughing, both Chalmer and Joe starting to laugh at my quandary there. So it was my introduction to the jokesters here at Imperial. Certainly not the last joke that Joe pulled on me, but most of them I really can't talk about in mixed company. But Joe can hold a candle to the jokester at my previous employment. When I worked there, and any of my old office mates that may be watching this will know immediately who I'm talking about. But we had a jokester there who, she was our receptionist. And she was just this little sweet-looking, meek, mild pixie of a lady with salt and pepper gray hair and little wire-rimmed glasses, and she liked nothing better than to talk about her grandchildren. And And she was like a pseudo mom to everybody, and she mommed me a lot. But she'd always know when something wasn't right or something was bothering me, and she'd always go out of her way to try to help me. But you would think with all these wonderful qualities, this woman had an impish streak to her. She would pull a practical joke on anybody, regardless of rank or hierarchy in the company. And she got me good a couple times. I can remember that it was my habit to, after lunch, go into the mail room and see if there was any mail that went up to the top floor for engineering or the sales guys upstairs. And the mail room was directly across from Ann's reception desk. So I walked in there after lunch one time, and I jumped back and I said, "Oh crap!" I said, "Someone got really sick in here." Well, Ann come running in, and she saw this big pile of vomit on the floor. And she says, "Charlie, we got to clean it up." She says, "I'm going to go over to the closet and get some paper towels. You run out to the maintenance closet out in the shop and get a bucket and a mop." So I said, "Okay." I go out to the shop, get the bucket. 5 minutes later, I'm rolling this big industrial yellow bucket down the hallway with a mop in it. So I get to the mail room to mop up the floor, and I see there's a spotless floor there. And I'm saying, "What the heck is going on?" Well, then I hear the little giggling behind me, and I turn around, and there's Ann standing there with this little impish grin on her face, holding the most realistic rubber mat of vomit I've ever seen in my life. It's the kind of things that she did. There was another time when I was walking down the hallway. The hallway ran right behind her desk. And if you went one way, you went into drafting. If you went the other way, there was a big, long hallway that either went out into the shop or to the steps up to the engineering offices. And I was deeply engrossed in a file. I was reading some spec as I was walking down the hallway. And I just happened to catch some movement out of the corner of my eye. I glanced over, and this big rat ran down the hall next to me. Well, I screamed like a little girl. I squealed. I threw my file. Half the papers went all over the floor. And I watched this rat scurry down the hall till it got to the wall and crashed into the wall and turned over. Its little rubber wheels still spinning. I turned around behind me, and sure enough, there was Ann and another female associate peeking around the corner, laughing. Yeah, that's the kind of stuff she did. She was quite a character, and she would catch you unsurprised a lot of times. I can remember one time I was sitting at my desk, and the mail came, and there was a box, little box about maybe 8 inches cubed, wrapped up. It was sealed. It had a mailing label. It had the whole thing on it. So I said, I wasn't quite sure what it was, but it wasn't unusual to get things that customers sent, samples or something like that, mailed to us. So I sat there, and I got my pocket knife out, and I cut open the wrapping, and I pulled open the box. When one of those like 8-foot long spring snakes jumped out, scared the crap out of me. I knew right away it was Annie behind us. Had to be. Now, I just don't know where she got all these gags that she got. So it's it's hard to believe that this sweet little lady would do these kind of things to me, or well, not just to me, but she did it to other people too. But she was one of the nicest people I ever worked with, and I guess she was probably the most dangerous around Christmas time, between the holidays, between Thanksgiving and Christmas. It wasn't unusual for vendors to come into our company, bring in their gifts of chocolates or candies or nuts or whatever. And most of these things would end up on Annie's reception desk for all the people to enjoy. Well, chocolate, you can tell by my physique here, I can't pass up a sweet. And chocolates especially, I have a weakness for. So one day, as I was walking past our desk, I noticed a new selection, a new box of chocolates out there. And I walked up to take a sample, and I asked Annie, I said, what's the best ones? And she just looked up at me and she says, well, they're all good. So I said, okay. So after a few minutes of looking them over, I took a selection and I picked it up and I bit into it. And I was surprised at how hard it was to bite into, so I took another bite, and that's when I heard the snickering. And I looked there, and there was Annie trying her best to stifle her giggles. And she says, you picked the only piece of fake chocolate in the whole box. Well, I took her for her word, picked up another piece, and the same exact thing happened. I ended up walking down the hall, red-faced, listening to her laughter all the way down the hall. So she was quite a little joker. I guess probably the worst thing she ever did to me was I had told her that I was on a diet. I was cutting out carbs. I wanted to lose a few pounds, and I was trying hard to lose a few pounds. Well, the next day I came into my office, and the walls were wallpapered with pictures that she cut out of the magazines of cakes and cookies and ice cream and candies. And it was like months. It was, months later, I was finding these things stuffed in my files or in my reference books and files. I'd find pictures that fall out of everywhere. Well, of course, Annie, she denied all responsibility for doing this, but I knew who was behind it. So she finally did fess up and said that she had some slight involvement in it. And I'm sure there were other willing associates that was working with her towards that end. But like I said, it was a long time, and I was still finding stuff stuffed away in books and things like that where a donut would fall out or something like that, But she was still probably one of the nicest people I worked with. And she did offer to, she did tell me that she wouldn't do anything like that again to me, and she offered to shake on it. And so I bit on that too, and found found one of those buzzers in her palm. So yeah, she was quite a sweet lady though. She was probably one of the top 3 of my favorite people I ever worked with in my career over 40 years. And I miss her. But if you think for 1 minute I miss being the butt of her practical jokes, well, good luck with that.
Thanks for joining us today. We hope you enjoyed this time with listening to Charlie's stories. If you're interested in hearing more of them, you can go read Charlie's article, Good Luck With That, on our website. If you're interested in more podcasts and other information, you can follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and most other social media platforms. Thanks for listening. Stay healthy and stay safe.
Thanks for listening to the Dusty Jobs podcast. Breathe better, work safer.